right.
Well, welcome everybody. We're going to kind of talk today. I'm going to share my screen here. Give a moment. Share and let me know when you can see Jen.
I can see it, but it says stop sharing now. Does anybody else see that?
I see
Right
that.
in
Hold
the middle of
on.
the screen. Okay.
No, what's that? Uh,
Hmm.
can you see it?
Nope.
No.
No.
Stop sharing.
Okay. I
How
wonder if it's
about
because of the AI note taker for Deb, maybe. I'll
let's
say
try it
one
again.
participant can share at a time. See if that
Were
works.
you? I was going to say, were you sharing?
Mm-mm. Okay.
You originally gave me,
Access, yeah.
and then I think, all right, let's see now. Sorry about this.
That's okay. We'll figure it out.
Okay, so I am share screen.
Okay.
I don't. I'm gonna.
Oh, Taryn just left. So play. Okay.
Okay. Well, thanks for joining today. I just wanted to talk today about intentional authenticity. So, what is intentional authenticity to you, and why should you practice it? For me, it's being true to oneself, which helps to enhance personal and professional relationships. This, if you're authentic, should help accelerate your success. So, what is the concept of authenticity? Authenticity is an important concept that has significant impact on our personal and professional lives. Why is it important to be authentic? Because authenticity can help us improve our personal and professional lives by allowing us to be true to ourselves, others, and by fostering deep connections and relationships. So, today we'll talk about authenticity, but we'll also talk about some subtopics: authenticity in relationships, self expression, mindfulness, self care, positive habits, leadership, and work relationships. So, when I'm talking about authenticity, for me, it's crucial in building strong relationships with others. When we are true to ourselves, we attract people who accept us for who we are. And this leads to more deeper and fulfilling connections. So, one of the things as I was creating this, I was thinking to myself, who do you know yourself to be? So, right, with social media, with everything that's out there, everybody has this persona. But really, if you sit alone in your thoughts and you're in your room by yourself, who do you know yourself to be? And then the next question I would ask is, who do you portray yourself to be? Right? Oftentimes, again, we can be fearful or maybe feel insecure about things, especially as women. You know, you could portray yourself, especially with the grit group. We've got a fantastic group of powerful women. They all have stories that are powerful, but oftentimes these experiences create in our mindset, some insecurities or questioning of who they really are. You hear things about people wondering if they are really truly internally feeling about how they're portraying themselves. So then I'd ask you, are there any discrepancies in between these two versions of you? And again, for most people, there really is, right? But in this presentation, I'm talking about authenticity. I would ask this: if there are any discrepancies, why? So hold that thought as we talk through authenticity and why it's important to be yourself in all situations. So it's essential in building healthy and strong relationships. When we're authentic, we can form deeper connections with others and improve our communication with them. So you see this oftentimes in relationships. You'll have people that are friends or maybe they're partners, and they're really not coming to the table with what they feel. And then oftentimes animosity or anger behind the scenes can come into play, and it can cause problems. Truly, if you are being authentic to yourself, which means being true to yourself and your values, it means you're not pretending to be someone that you're not trying to impress others and to try to fit in with other groups. Again, I kind of felt this was very important because with today's society, again, with social media, things that we're seeing, um, as a woman, I really wanted to get comfortable with who I am authentically and really honor that and myself. And I would like the women that listen to this to really understand who they are and then really understand what their values are and really start honoring those as they appear to the world, not just internally. So, authenticity and self expression. Self expression, as we just talked about, can be difficult. People are afraid of judgment, rejection, and not being accepted by society. Cultivating a mindset of self awareness and compassion is crucial to overcoming these challenges. So, in the picture, again, you can see this person is kind of holding a mask up. What are they doing as they look in the mirror, or what do they want to appear as they go into the world? And so, if you could take that mask off and keep it off, what are the benefits of authentic self expression? So, authentic self expression can lead to a more fulfilling life. It can improve your relationships. It can also increase your self confidence. And this allows us to connect with ourselves and others on a deeper level. And I'm going to stop here. There's only a couple of you on the call, but do you feel like what I've talked about, that where you look in the mirror and you feel something and then you kind of put your mask on to appear to the world? And I think some days for me, it's more than others. If I'm having a day where I'm struggling with my son or I'm struggling at work, I'd like to get your thoughts there.
I would absolutely agree. I think sometimes, it's easier not to deal with the feelings and just push through and kind of save face rather than actually tap in and have to feel the feelings to heal or to process or to not go numb. So I would absolutely agree with that.
Anybody else want to share?
I would agree. And I think even sometimes if it's, professionally, that I mean almost a feeling of like an imposter kind of a thing. It's,
Yeah.
so if you're pushing into something that is new and a little bit challenging, it's just really being strong enough to say, this is my first run, or there's some of a, a little bit of a level of fake it till you make it, but don't fake it until you're, miserable. There's being authentic and knowing that the people around you and the people, whatever, the project or the situation, that, those trusted, partners can help you through those sorts of things. There's a lot of wisdom in being authentic there.
Yeah, and I really like that. I feel like as I've gotten older in my sales career, I know that when I was younger, I was okay. I want to learn. I don't want to look stupid, so I didn't want to ask as many questions. But what I'm finding is I mature in my career as well as just being confident in asking questions. Is I have learned, which I didn't know when I was younger, but truly saying this makes me uncomfortable, being honest with why. And if your intention is always there to have the best outcome, no matter what it is, if it's a work situation or a personal situation, I think that when you can come to the table with your fears, it also allows for other people to say, okay, yeah, I was feeling that way too. So being brave enough to come to the table and say, here's how I'm feeling truthfully about it. That to me is honestly real leadership, because a lot of people don't have the guts, I guess, to come out and say it. A lot of times people are feeling those insecurities or feeling doubt in themselves. And so the ones that can actually address it, throw it out on the table and come head on with what they're feeling and doing, I think it really allots for it to kind of spread through the organization or through your friend group. So thank you for the feedback. So, how can we improve our personal life with authenticity? So, mindfulness. Mindfulness is the practice of being present and fully engaged in the current moment. This can lead to increased self awareness and reduce stress. So, oftentimes for me, it can be done in different ways. So, in the morning when I wake up, I try to often do gratitude, try to think of 10 things I'm grateful for. It can also, for me, I'm a Christian, it can be in prayer. Other people meditate. So I think too, as you're trying to become authentic, you really want to internalize really what you're feeling so that you can honor those feelings during the day. Again, if it's something challenging with my son, I have a 7-year-old that has ADHD. And so when I get a new school season starting, and so I kind of have, okay, I've got to talk to the new teacher. I've got to make sure that he's set, they understand. So those aren't fearful for me as they were the first couple of years that I had to do it, but there is still stressors there. So I try to think through and be mindful of what I'm feeling and then talk through it with myself so that as I approach things, I can tell them that about my concerns, about that I'm there to back them. And so I think just really being mindful of how you're feeling is very helpful. The next step, which is self care, this kind of involves taking care of ourselves, right? Physically, mentally, and our emotional health. It can include activities such as exercise, healthy eating, getting enough sleep, and really practicing self care can help us improve well being and manage stress. I am a personal believer in this. I think that each person has their own way of managing this. I like to work out. Um, Sleep tends to be fleeting for me these days. I'm not sure if I could do better there. So let me ask you guys, I'll stop here and say, what do you two like to do for your self care? Jen, you want to start?
Sure. I was just telling Taryn this. I actually like to go on walks. I used to go running all the time, but it seems like with life being so chaotic, the walks have actually been more peaceful and it's more calming, kind of like a yoga. So I've been trying to do like 2 to 5 mile walks at least 3 to 4 times a week, which has been really helpful just to kind of get outside. And sometimes I listen to music, sometimes I just sit with my thoughts, but that's usually what I do to help get grounded.
Yeah.
Mine is, it's similar, although it's been so hot, I love to go, there's, a hiking trail nearby with Powder Valley here in St. Louis. I love to go through the woods and do that. But oftentimes I'll just listen to audiobooks and maybe some things that are, really about, self-awareness and self-care. And just, time goes a lot faster when you're at home on an elliptical or a treadmill, but just really puts you in that great frame of mind to start your day.
Yeah, I love that. So, kind of what you're just talking about is self care is developing those positive habits. So, journaling, exercising, it can all have positive impact on the well being. I will say, and I'm sure that you guys feel this way, I agree. Like, it's a lot different than doing an elliptical or indoor than getting outside. Something about nature, having the fresh air, and really kind of just like grounding yourself tends to me to be a lot less. Stress, or I mean, it affects my mood and my stress levels even more. Um, so I appreciate that. Thank you for sharing. So again, the benefits of this, it can reduce stress, lower blood pressure, and then just overall health. And then really, again, self-care practices, again, we're not only talking physically, but emotionally and mentally. So other things that you can do besides physical activity and journaling is just to do things that relax you, right? Going for a walk, we talked about, but a relaxing bath. I am a bath taker. I am a firm believer in salt baths. I love them. And so not only can you get things out. I was reading a book recently about it was a gentleman that had gone through a breakup, and when he said when your body is sick, he's like you can go to the bathroom and you might throw up or you might do these things, but when it's emotional. He's like, how do people get those out? And so one of the things that he did for self-care was he wrote all of the things that he was feeling down and he burnt them. He burnt the paper that he wrote them down on. And I thought that was very interesting. He's like, if you're sick physically, you go to the bathroom, you get it out of your system. But emotionally, how do you get it out? And I thought that was a really cool way to physically get it out and then burn it so that you could start anew. As you know, like if a forest burns down or things like that happen, fires, new green and new fresh things can come up. So I think self-care and mindfulness is very important to that. So just a little bit more into the importance of positive habits. So oftentimes people will do these things, right? But are they doing it as a habit? So sometimes people might get stressed out, and they're so stressed out. They're like, oh my gosh, I need a glass of wine, or oh my gosh, I'm going to go get a massage. But what I wanted to point out on this slide is that life is continually stressful. We are high performing women in this group. Most of us are either sisters, daughters, mothers. We have relationships that we're balancing or work balancing. And so having that habit that you create, which means you're doing these positive things and all these stress relievers consistently, right? You have better health and better well-being. Authenticity is key to developing and maintaining these positive habits. So again, I think when we talk about authenticity is what works for you, right? So maybe somebody likes to read and that relaxes them. Or I love to work out. I work out 6 days a week, but other people are like, that sounds terrible. So really, when you talk about authenticity and developing positive habits is to, again, that retrospection. What is it that I like to do? Understanding what that is, and then really saying, okay, if it is taking a walk in out in nature that relaxes me the most, making a commitment. I'm going to commit to walking 3 times a week in the morning or one in the afternoon, so that you're having the positive habits in place and you're understanding really which ones work best for you. So improving personal life. So in leadership, so a lot of us are leaders or we work with leaders. So I will look at this from two different aspects. So as a leader, key component is building trust and credibility with your team members. So whether you are that leader or you respond to a leader, you know that you want somebody that's in leadership to be transparent. You want them to be honest and true to oneself. If you are following somebody or you are that leader that basically comes to the table and again kind of puts her heart on the table and says, hey, I really like this idea, this is where we're going, however these are my fears, tell me why we can get through this, tell me how we're going to approach these. And so again, being almost vulnerable but authentic about how you're feeling about things allows for your team to feel comfortable and confident that, okay, she's sharing that there's a couple things that are making her uncomfortable. I'm able to share because you've led with that. Or if you are under that leader, you could say, okay, wow, I've got somebody that is willing to be vulnerable in front of this. And that might allow you to come to the table with some ideas that you have that might be outside of the box. So again, just authenticity in leadership, being the leader or following that leader really can just breed a more successful experience. So building strong relationships, work relationships and professional, and your growth for career and development is important. It involves effective communication, collaboration, and understanding the needs and goals of your colleagues. So again, just a little bit more about what we talked about. Authentic leaders exhibit honesty, self-awareness, transparency, and humility. With this, they can build trust and encourage open communication and create a culture of accountability and respect. Authenticity is a crucial building and strong relationships. When people are authentic, they're more likely to trust one another and communicate more effectively and work collaboratively. So I will stop here. And again, I'll start with Jen because it's been a nice cadence. When you're in a leadership role, or have you had an experience where you had a leader that wasn't authentic and that made you fearful to bring things to the table? And how did you approach that?
Yeah, actually, I ended up, well, it happened twice in my past two roles of mentorships that I was paired up with my employers. And it was interesting because it was almost, and it was one of the motivators why I ended up doing the anthology to teach women how to collaborate. But I think sometimes when you have a mentor who's a woman, sometimes there's some tug and pull. If someone starts outperforming, if they've been in a role longer, there's a little bit of resentment that's built up. So once I started to identify that this woman wasn't authentically supportive of me and my goals and my aspirations, it kind of made me, I would say, dim my light or turtle in and not feel comfortable being vulnerable with her, with my goals and my aspirations, because it almost put us in like a competitive situation.
Sure.
So it was more difficult noticing that she wasn't authentically there for me and being an authentic leader. So I didn't feel comfortable being transparent. And obviously the trust was broken, and it encouraged me to take a leave to go to a different employer. And, yeah, so that's been my experience. with
Yeah, and that's a
an
perfect
authentic
example.
leader. Yeah.
Yeah, and again, when you look at something like that, it's funny when I hear it, like who you are, we all know you to be. You've got somebody that's threatened by you instead of saying, "Hey, I'm looking at it this way," and talking and keeping open communication. You've now lost an employee and one that obviously is a successful person and has a successful mindset. And then what does the cost of having to go hire a new employee cost? It's exponentially. I think I read recently it was like to hire a new employee is like $12,000 to get them up and running, get them onboarding. And so without her not being an authentic leader, she lost somebody that was probably going to be a good producer, and it's going to cost them another $12,000 to get somebody new in that role who may not be as good.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. How about you? Want to share some?
Sure. And we might actually have another person on the call
Oh,
that
okay, great.
I don't
We'll
know.
share the next two then.
Okay. I had a similar situation, but it was more with in a strategic role where it was more of a, kind of a top-down relationship where here are the things that we need to get solved, but we just need you to go forward with this, but we didn't really have great information. And it was really more around um, no transparency into what we were really trying to solve for. It was just go do these things and motivate
Mhm.
all these people, but no one really understood why. And so it was a lot of, well, you don't need to know, and I would say it was more around an older, mindset of a different way of working. And
Yeah.
it really took some intervention, and it took some leaders that were, empathetic to this is how you build, employee engagement. This is how you build, people who do want to stay and understand what you're here for. And it was really, really hard. And it was probably one of the hardest times I've ever had
Yeah.
working in a workplace like that. And I wouldn't wish it on anyone. And it was extremely difficult. And I wish I had had more of the tools, like you said, having a certain tenure and working for an amount of time.
Hmm.
That was hard. That was hard to go through
Sure.
as someone that was younger. And then now understanding, that's just that level of trust needs to be built. And when you're in a position where you have to be that bridge, it can be very, very difficult.
Yeah. So that sounds like honestly like a toxic work environment. And I will ask you this: Are you still at that organization, or did you move on from there?
No, I did move on from there.
Yeah. And that so there's another instance where you had some people that you didn't feel good about it. You had some, again, that sounded like a non-productive environment. And now you've lost somebody that's a good worker, right? So
Mhm.
really, when you talk about authenticity and being open as a leader, it really truly can affect not only your teams, but the whole organization. Great. Thank you for sharing. And I can't see your all faces. So whoever has not shared that joined, please share. I don't know if you heard the question, but it was really about have you experienced an authentic leader or a non-authentic leader to where it affected you and in a negative fashion?
Aranola, I think she's referring to you. If you can unmute.
Actually, I was trying to do that. Good morning, everyone. Sorry,
Good
I can't
morning.
on. I'm ripping and running, but I like the conversation, and yes, I have been. I come from a community where male have always been dominant, right?
Mm,
Whether in homes, in marriage, women are really regarded as seen and not heard.
mm,
And coming from that, that background is difficult for you to express yourself. And even when you go to the workplace, because you're so used to that, you sometimes feel intimidated to speak up
mm.
or to put yourself in a place where you are seeking for opportunity or growth. Now, what I have done to combat that is to join G.R.I.T.
Yeah.
And you may not know me, but Jennifer can testify that since I've kind of joined the G.R.I.T community, I have grown a lot. I have become bolder. I have found my voice. So,
Wonderful.
what I encourage people like me or from my community to do is to network a bit more. Yes, for my I mean, the younger ones are doing their thing now. They're more bolder. They speak to you. They speak their mind. But people in my, I'm 50 plus. So people in my generation were still affected by some of how we're brought up. And it also affects you in leadership, but taking that step to get involved, the people that can help you and tap into those resources is what I'm doing, and that's helped me a lot. So I have found my voice, and thank you, Jennifer. I'll always brag about you.
Well, I love that. That's a different perspective completely, and I'm glad you found your voice. I hope it keeps getting louder. Wonderful. Thank you, ladies, for sharing. So really kind of gotten to the conclusion here. So being authentic in our personal and our professional lives is important for experiencing true happiness and fulfillment. It allows us to build stronger relationships and to achieve our goals with more ease and authenticity. So what I'd like you to do is to take a moment to write down one way that you can choose more authentically. And I don't want this to be like, oh, I could stop eating this. I want you to stop and think, what has been that thing that's kind of in the back of your mind that like consistently is a little nagging voice, like that you could do better than, that really you want to eradicate from your life. It's no longer serving you. What is that? I don't want it to be trivial. I want you to listen to yourself. And if you can't quite think of it, like I want you to take that time and be mindful and think to yourself, okay, so if you don't know it right now, kind of by the end of the day, say, okay, what is that? What is that thing that I can do and choose to live more authentically? And then tomorrow, I want you to wake up and think of all the ways that you can implement that choice into your life, right? So let's say it's, I have really been trying to lose some weight and I drink 3 sodas a day, whatever that looks like. It can be anything. But knowing that soda is not good for you, knowing that it's got a lot of sugar has terrible aspects that affect the body all over, and saying, you know what? I have told myself I want to be healthy. I want to respect my mind, body, and soul. And so I'm going to take soda out of my basically my life right now. And if it's something you don't think you can do forever, I would say pick like a time frame. So, okay, I'm going to give up soda for a month. And then I want you to like think about it, journal about it, see how you're feeling. You might have some cravings the first day or whatever by the end of the week. But really at the end of the 30 days, I kind of just want you to say, okay, how am I feeling now that I authentically addressed something that's been nagging at me? And then take it from there. And then again, as you start doing this at the end of the week, ask yourself how you feel since you started living this intentional authenticity. And then if this is working for you, which it can, continue to add additional ways that you continue to be your most authentic self. So really that's what I had, ladies. I kind of wanted to leave some time to talk and kind of get your thoughts, and I'll stop sharing so I can see your faces. And escape. And then kind of just get your thoughts about what you thought about it, how you think you're gonna, if you have one to share, that if you do have one that came to mind that you want to do, I think that would be great. Rita, do you have anything that came to mind?
So this may be kind of a cheat because I am brand new to Grit. This is my first time even seeing Jennifer. And it's great to meet you. And mine is going to be to participate more and to really throw myself into more of the networking. I've been, in careers, 8 to 5 plus, traveling a lot, raising a family. But my own network, when I had a role that ended, my own network was not that broad outside of my immediate, work family, which, I realize keeping up with my own, being true to myself, being true to strengths, weaknesses, all of my network. How can I help other people more, and how can I be better? My commitment is be involved in Grit and other networks, and help raise other women up, and really be there. So I can really, as my social persona and my actual persona are much more aligned. So that's my commitment.
I love that. And Rita, it sounds like you kind of just got into a new role. Is that accurate with it recently? And so let's hear about it so we can hear about how we can help you. So where are you now? And tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I was with AT&T for 20 years. I made the choice to leave because of eventual relocation needs of my family not being in a position. When you were speaking, I've got an older parent. I've got children. I've got all, I'm sort of in that squished in the middle, not a great time to relocate. And I took a role with a local company, and then that position ended in the spring.
Okay.
So I've been really intentional about what I do next. And I found a consulting role with a company called Infosys doing product management in probably back with AT&T, where I know all the people, I know the work, but it'll keep my skills sharp. And so I'm in the final onboarding stages of that. So it's something I'm looking forward to. Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
You are very welcome, and thanks for sharing. I love that. And I will say G.R.I.T is a fantastic group to align yourself with, as you probably have already learned if you're new to it. But truly reach out to the network. Jen is fantastic. Jen really has built an incredible group of women. The ones that I know and that I have met, which are several at this point, all are truly here to kind of help grow, help learn. And so really use the network. I would say grab lunches, go to events, but really get to know people so that as you're in your new role, they can help you succeed.
Thank
Great.
you.
Aaronola, how about you?
Yes, ma'am. Rita, congratulations and welcome to this amazing family.
Thanks.
Well, I originally came from Nigeria. I lived in the UK for over 2 decades before I got married and found myself in St. Louis. So for 8 years, I worked here at an engineering company as a finance person before kind of felt led to start my own business. So I've been in business now full time for 11 years. I own a party rental company.
Yes.
And, just, touching a bit on what Rita said, it's a good community to know because when you are, part of a workforce, they do lunch and learn, they have all the training. But when you step out to do things yourself, you need that support. You need people to teach you about leadership. What we're learning here is important. And one thing I have learned over all our workshops and again reminded here is that, uh, my authentic self is to be grateful. I'm always grateful to people who have helped me, whether it's my staff, people like Jennifer. Jennifer is like huge on that list. And I don't take it for granted because when I initially met her, I stereotype her. She's blonde and beautiful. Folks like that don't have time for me. But, she was so real. She reached out even after we met and make room and encourage me. And I'm also one of the authors in her favorite book, The Resilience. So I'll continue to practice that. And it's not always easy because there's negativity everywhere we turn, right? But, part of me being authentic is removing myself from that, not engaging much with that. Sometimes clients come, they want to give you hassle about their party rentals and how they don't want to pay deposit. But, just learn to de-escalate and bring about positivity from every situation. So that's what, I'll keep practicing and keep growing.
I love it. Thanks for sharing. And Jen,
Yes.
how about you?
I think right now with all the transitions that I'm going through I think it's really important for me to do more self-care. And my friend actually called me out and told me that. So what I've been doing is actually getting back up at 5 a.m. like I used to, and either sitting with a coffee and just being still because I have 3 kids while I'm doing all this stuff. Or, I've actually started going on walks. So it's twice a day rather than trying to cram it all in the evening when we do have poor weather. Or I get a head start with my work so that I can take off a little bit earlier to get that walk in too. So kind of being flexible with each day, but allowing myself to have more time in the day for me is what I've just started doing. And I think that's been really helpful because I forgot that, hey, I need time for myself too. And I love Basman and had a chance to do that since, November. And I want to listen to an Audible and now I have time. So intentionally making time and, waking up earlier than I have been, just to have some time for myself before the kids get out of bed and I have to start all that routine. So that's what I've been doing.
Love it. Well, for me, I recently got divorced and I have a 7-year-old and I have him pretty much my ex-husband has him Wednesday and every other weekend. So I have him almost full time. And so what I am trying to do is to figure out who I am. I was married for over 10 years. And I mean, I know who I am as a person, but really what I'm trying, this is kind of why I ended up picking this topic, because it was relevant to me in my life. And I thought, you know, I know I've spoken to women, there's people that are divorced, have gone through a divorce, or are going through a divorce. And so I think as women, we're constantly looking at, am I the mother? Am I a mother first? Am I a daughter first? You talked about that, Rita. My mom's 72. I have my house. I'm okay where I'm at, but I'm actually looking at houses. I'm looking at houses that are in the $600,000 range, because the house that I'm looking at needs to be able to house my mom in the next 5 years. And I don't want to move twice. So is it too big of a house for me now? Yeah. But my mom, you know, is getting older. And so I'm like, do I want to spend that money? Should we wait a year? And so like, I'm trying to figure out the house I want to buy as a person that's only going to be on the mortgage. And I'm saying, is this a good place for my son to go to school? Is this a good place where my mom can come? And I don't even get to honor, like, what does Taryn want? Right. And so I think as women, we are consistently pulled in so many directions because we're expected to be mother, daughter, friend, wife, whatever it looks like. And so my plan, to be honest with you, is not to date for a year. I want to figure out who Taryn is without, I've got two people pulling, without some other person, you know, asking of me, right? I want to define who I want to be in my career. I have a good career path with my company. I work for somebody good, but I am the senior director of strategic partnerships for an IT company, which is very busy. So I do lots of events for that. And so what I'm really trying to do with myself is to truly understand, who am I at 46? Who's Taryn, right? Who do I want to be? And that's why I said, what are some things that you want to kind of like take off your plate? I work out 6 days a week. I listen to audiobooks. One of the things I've added from the audiobooks that I keep hearing, and I've heard it from many places, is to get up and make your bed. I've heard that so many places that it requires to be successful. So since recently, actually this month, I decided, I heard it again in another book, and I've been getting up and making my bed. Like, I'm going to start off the day. I work out in the mornings. I used to go to the gym every day, and I can't because my son is home. So I've had to bring in a gym to my house. I had to go walking in the neighborhood. And so I'm making it work, which is what we do as women. We figure it out. But I also, as I'm figuring out my new path, I'm trying really hard to listen to what I want as well, and find the balance of, it's kind of like when you are on the plane and you're like, secure your mask first before you help children and older people. Basically, that's what I'm doing in life right now. And so I'm trying to understand, as I secure my mask, what does that look like for me, so that I can serve the people around me that need me. So that's why I created this one. So I hope everyone enjoyed it. I hope it was helpful. And really good. That's what I have for today. So if Rita, if you haven't connected with me on LinkedIn, please do. Aranola, I think we are connected, but if not, let's connect. I know we are, Jen. So, but ladies, I want you to have a wonderfully authentic, intentional day. And thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you. That was amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great.
Thank you. Nice meeting you, Rita. See you soon.
Yes, can't wait to get you plugged in. So
Thank you all so much.
Thanks, everybody.
bye, Aranola.
Yes, ma'am.